Even the most manipulative, toxic, crafty people are outing themselves. And even if you've exited the relationship or believe them for a time, you'll probably look back and have at least one memory where you look back and you're like, yeah, that makes sense. I should have believed that moment on a little deeper of a level. Also, why we have these very helpful sayings where, hindsight is clear. What? No, I don't even... Oh my gosh. Good Lord. Okay. So I'll just tell you a story where I looked back and was like, oh my goodness, they were outing themselves the entire time. So I went no contact with my parents, and both of whom were therapists. So they had very good knowledge of who they are, the relationship dynamic, and how they were treating all of us three kids very, very differently. Well, there was one moment where we were getting kicked out of the basement suite so they could buy my stepbrother's place, where they were like, we need to take you out for lunch and have a conversation because we are worried that you're going to stop talking to us. And at the time, it blew my mind because the idea that I could or should do that didn't occur to me. But it did to them, because they knew of all these other things that were going around in the background that I didn't want to see, wasn't willing to see, and I had no way of knowing. And when you look back on your toxic relationship with a little bit of clarity, with a little bit of emotional safety and physical safety, you'll start to see all these small instances and moments that built up to that big decision of you making the massive change that you did. And we have the choice to feel a lot of shame and guilt for not seeing those moments for what they were. But every moment that you go back in memory and see, know that part of you did. Your subconscious did. It did, because those were the moments that built up for you to have that big aha realization, that big moment where you realized, oh, this is dangerous for me. This is unhealthy for me. This isn't a good environment for me. It was all those small pieces that you may look back with guilt and shame, but they were actually, I almost want to say gifts, but I don't, because these people did terrible things. But I want to help you give yourself grace for realizing that all those moments that you might feel shame about not listening to yourself, they became loud enough that you did start to listen to yourself. And that is the takeaway I want you to have, is when you start listening to yourself, whenever that is in the relationship, that's a big, big deal. And I want you to honor that, because that helps you to choose you. And I want you to choose you, just like I needed me to choose me. And I do. I choose me.